Will bills test love instead of betrayal? Angela Oakley, wife of NBA legend Charles Oakley, revealed how money problems nearly ended their marriage. "I defied him," she says. But why? What transpired behind closed doors to force her to choose? Loyalty or survival? Truth shocks more than you imagine. Consider famous marriages, especially those involving sports legends. We imagine opulent homes, fashionable clothing, and financial freedom most of us can only dream about. Behind Instagram photos and red carpet appearances is a truth many don't want to face. Money solves more than issues. It can cause them to. Angela Oakley, exquisite and resilient wife of famous NBA enforcer Charles Oakley, is revealing a sad chapter in their marriage. She openly acknowledges, "I went against him," exposing how money issues and years of silent strain steadily eroded their marriage in a rare and emotional interview. This film will reveal the Oakleys' financial problems, their causes, and who was accountable. Angela's contentious decision surprised Charles with the emotional cost of silence. When it all broke down, you won't believe what Angela experienced or how she discovered her voice when she fought for herself alone. Stay with us because what she shared next stunned even lifelong fans. Angela and Charles Oakley appeared successful. Charles, a legendary NBA player noted for his tenacity, discipline, and dedication, was notorious for fiercely protecting his teammates and family. Graceful and smart, Angela avoided the spotlight. Her acquaintances thought she was the glue that held everything. Together, for years, the Oakleys portrayed unity. They were seen courtside at games, photographed at private parties, and revered for enduring stardom without tabloid scandals. But the public didn't see the mounting conflict behind the scenes, and mainly over money, how it was spent, where it was going, and who made the decisions. She was always financially competent. She grew up recognizing financial value. While she enjoyed Charles' success's luxury, she valued stability, honesty, and clever planning. Professional sports don't always prioritize those principles. Behind Oakley's doors, silent debates began. Angela saw financial irregularities, illogical investments, inexplicable withdrawals, and lifestyle unaligned loans. She raised questions and concerns, but was rebuffed. Similar to many elite athletes, Charles was used to being the provider, protector, and man without explanation. Angela's questions made him reconsider his decision. Angela felt isolated. From her life, the rift started there. But what happened to their money? Why did Angela feel like a stranger in her marriage? Angela Oakley never imagined being her marriage's financial inspector. After all, he had fought legends on the court, loyally protected teammates, and supported his family for decades. But her trust would be challenged in unexpected ways. Small red flags appeared. Angela spotted late mail. Credit card bills and commercial activities were new to her. She calmly, meticulously sorted financial statements to solve a jigsaw she hadn't realized was missing components. What she found surprised her. There were dubious restaurant investments inside. Businesses that discreetly drained hundreds of thousands. Undisclosed former business partner debts. Worse, unfiled taxes and legal warnings may have threatened their house, possessions, and future. Recently, Angela stated, "I recall sitting at the kitchen table with these documents thinking, what else don't I know?" Angela worried about financial risk and emotional betrayal. She had built her life on trust and teamwork. So learning that key choices were being made without her participation and that her name was on documents she had never signed or seen made her feel invisible. She called it a quiet fog. She got fewer answers with more queries. Charles sometimes grew aloof, defensive, and angry. Her digging challenged his authority. For Angela, power wasn't the issue. Protection was involved. Her marriage, future, and dignity are protected. "I wasn't controlling him," she said. "I was safeguarding us." The more I spoke, the more I felt like I was on the other side of the room, the enemy. At that point, emotional stress set in. Sleeplessness hit Angela. She was always worried that the following mail might contain another surprise. She stopped going. She withdrew herself from intimate pals, People asked how she was doing. She smiled. She lied. She said, "I'm okay." But she wasn't. She then revealed that she was quietly breaking down after years of standing by him. There was more to this dispute than money. A complete identity problem. Angela began to doubt her role in the relationship. Was she an accomplice or observer? She hadn't yet made her most controversial choice. Now, Angela Oakley was more than emotionally exhausted. She faced a choice. Secrecy, worry, and stillness exhausted her. She no longer saw herself in the mirror. A confident lady who had stood boldly beside a sports legend now felt like a ghost at home. While Charles smiled for the media, made appearances, and held on to his pride, Angela drowned. She realized change was needed, but that transformation would involve doing what she feared most, opposing her spouse. Angela said the breaking point was a peaceful morning. The clarity came without disagreements or noisy fights. She spent hours staring at a spreadsheet trying to correct the damage and recover what was left. However, the figures were true. Cold, uncompromising truth looked at her. After closing the laptop, she breathed deeply and called, not to Charles, her own financial advisor. Angela subsequently admitted that she went against him because she knew she had to stand up for herself, as a wife and a woman who mattered. A separate bank account in her name was opened secretly. She hired an independent accountant to determine what she owed, what assets were protected, and most critically, what obligations she was unintentionally assuming. She safeguarded her name, credit, and future for self-preservation, not revenge. But it continued. Angela hired a marriage counselor alone. She wanted to talk openly without interruption or being told she was exaggerating. Those treatments revived her voice. Years of shrinking to make the marriage work and minimizing her instincts for peace dawned on her. She learned that peace, without honesty, is merely stillness. Real confrontation followed. She sat Charles down and explained everything calmly. She showed him her findings, steps, and explanations. She told him she loved him but couldn't watch her life. A partnership, not a dictatorship, was needed to save their marriage. Charles wasn't pleased. Angela said he was confused, betrayed, and heartbroken. Why she lied to him puzzled him. Why she made financial maneuvers without alerting him. Ironically, he accused her of making secret decisions like he had for years. Angela stated, "That's when I realized it wasn't simply money. It was deeper. It was about power, control, being heard, and speaking up." Fallout was severe. The pair scarcely spoke for weeks. Angela wondered if they'd survive. Family and friends noticed stress. Hidden from the press, a storm was developing. The narrative takes another startling turn here. Angela Oakley knew there would be consequences for protecting herself financially without her husband's agreement. But she didn't expect to become the villain in her own love tale. Charles' response was immediate and cold, initial quiet. He left, refusing genuine conversation. He had become her storm after shielding her from the outside world. Angela remembered moments of intense pain when the guy she loved looked at her like a stranger, not because she betrayed him, but because she stood alone. Home stress got excruciating. Simple conversations became frosty standoffs. Shared dinners and late-night discussions ended. Emotional distance replaced the comfortable stillness between two people who knew each other well. Public outrage followed. Blog articles and NBA whispers leaked news. Angela never went public, but rumors began. Why had she stopped attending events? Why did Charles spend more time alone? What became to the idyllic couple? She eventually spoke, giving a quick, tearful interview about how finances had strained their marriage. The internet behaved as usual. It picked sides. "People labeled me greedy," she said. "They called me ungrateful for questioning a man who had supported me for years. Reversal of narrative." After years of financial seclusion, Angela was accused of betrayal, as if defending herself meant she had ceased loving her husband. The judgment was heavy, and came from everywhere. She received criticism from strangers, family, and anonymous social media accounts. Some felt she was cashing out of a long marriage. Others said she embarrassed a black sportsman who represented strength and masculinity. They saw no woman reclaiming her dignity. Angela resisted a danger to tradition. Her voice cracked during an emotional sit-down as she added, "I didn't do it to disgrace him. I did it to survive. I was dying by remaining silent." Many didn't comprehend Angela didn't go public out of spite. She went public to control her story. For too long, she had lived someone else's marriage smile for the camera. Be quiet at home. Believe him even if it costs you everything. Angela restored her voice by telling the truth, although it hurt deeply. She said she would cry, alone in their bedroom at their toughest times, praying she hadn't made the wrong choice and hadn't destroyed her marriage. "Some nights I wondered, did I ruin us? Was I the first to say anything was broken?" Despite the pain and bewilderment, something unexpected happened. Other women in similar situations, married to wealthy men, reached out. The plot and choices, questioning women, were sometimes labeled disloyal. Angela spoke quietly of courage in a culture that often silences women behind powerful men. She never pretended to be a victim, but she stopped taking responsibility. The surprise twist is here. Charles Oakley remained silent for weeks. He ignored rumors, interviews, and podcasts. Classic Charles, protected and emotionally armored. However, the harm was done quietly. He was moved by Angela's quiet disobedience, not only as a husband but as a guy fashioned by decades in the high-pressure, hyper-masculine NBA, where vulnerability was weakness and questioning authority, even from a spouse, seemed like betrayal. He ultimately talked without a press conference, not in a sitting interview. Ironically, a close friend told it to the public. Charles stated she made him appear weak. "I managed everything. A man should do what I did. She went behind my back like I was a threat." The words cut to the heart of the matter. This wasn't about money for Charles. It was respect. His expected roles had changed. In his perspective, Angela crossed a line. He overlooked this. She wasn't emasculating him. She wanted to empower herself. Charles acknowledged, too, underestimating Angela's emotional and intellectual needs in an off-camera conversation with a trusted friend. He admitted to forgetting his longest supporter because he was so used to doing business alone. "Perhaps I grew used to working alone," he replied. "I didn't mean to exclude her, but I didn't expect her to turn against me." Angela thought he didn't understand after hearing such remarks not to turn him on. That meant selecting herself when no one else would. They became more emotionally distant. Their communication became transactional, short texts, rudimentary, check-ins, and long silences. While they shared a house, their gap was clear. What startled folks most was this. Charles failed to apologize. He recognized difficulties. He saw the errors. However, he couldn't say what Angela needed most. "Sorry I made you feel unimportant." Angela subsequently noted that sometimes a silence speaks louder than an apology. Angela kept her cool despite the heartbreak. She didn't snap. She didn't media retaliate. She focused on self-healing. She started journaling, going to therapy, and mentoring younger women in similar situations. Her anguish was her platform for freedom, not celebrity. Here, the story turns again. One night, months after their fight, Charles softly entered and said something Angela never expected. "You were right, not wanting you to be right." Not an apology, it was the closest she'd seen him show vulnerability. Her initial impression was the man, not the tale. For a time, we were two people trying to communicate. Was that moment enough to save the marriage, or was it too late? Angela faced a crossroads again, but with company. She spoke up, was independent and honest.